What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today we got a pretty big info drop of leaks for Warzone 2, so we're going to be talking about those. But before that, I did want to touch on a couple things that are coming from an official source. The first thing is relating to Warzone Mobile. This has now been officially announced and confirmed, and apparently we're going to be getting some more information on this at Call of Duty next week. And the main thing that's interesting to talk about with this is with the link to the Warzone Mobile website, there's a description, and in this it mentions shared progression. Now at this point, we don't have enough information to know exactly what this is sharing progression with. Is it going to be like the console and PC version of Call of Duty, like Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2? Or is it sharing progression with mobile? Is it sharing player progression or maybe just weapon progression? We really don't know at this point. That's all up in the air. But one thing I did want to address here, I think a lot of people misread this and jumped to the conclusion that this means cross-play, which would mean like Warzone mobile players are in the same game as Warzone 2 players. And I highly doubt that's going to be the case. There's no actual mention of that anywhere, and no hints of that either. So I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't think Warzone Mobile is going to be able to run Warzone 2, especially with the rumored high AI count in the game. In either case, that's the first thing I wanted to touch on. The next quick thing to touch on here is Call of Duty did tweet this image out here, just sort of hyping up that Call of Duty Next event next week. And with this one, in the text itself, you can see what appears to be a map, a top-down view of the map, sort of like how the mini-map looks. And if I had to guess, this is likely the museum map, simply because we've already had the Grand Prix map as well as Farm 18 revealed. This map layout, as far as we can see, doesn't look like either of those. And that museum map is the only other one that they've confirmed so far. We did get a brief glimpse of it in the audio intel drop here. We can see somebody that's working on the audio, and they are in the museum map. So that's my best guess on that. Now let's move into these Warzone 2 leaks. Now these ones are coming from Metaphor, who I'm not overly familiar with, I'll be honest right up front. I've seen his name around the community, I've heard of leaks from him in the past, but I'm not 100% sure about his track record when it comes to leaks, so just keep that in mind. He does claim that he has seen gameplay of Warzone 2 as well as DMZ, and I tend to believe him, but at the end of the day, these are leaks, take them with a grain of salt. But let's dive into this. In the first of several tweets here, he mentions that NPCs or AI players are going to be in the map randomly, which was a bit surprising to me. I thought they would only be in the stronghold areas that have been leaked in the past, but it seems like they can just be anywhere on the map. And just to add to this, in the pre-reveal brief for Modern Warfare 2 that I managed to attend several months back, the devs did mention that they were toying around with up to 300 AI players at once in Warzone 2, so this does seem quite likely. Additionally, we're going to have container-based looting as well as floor loot. So you'll have the standard floor loot laying around. However, with those supply boxes you find around the map, unlike in the current version of Warzone where you open them and all the items just fly out of there and land on the ground and then you take what you want, this is apparently going to be an inventory-based system where it opens up a menu when you open the crate and then you select the items that you want to transfer to your inventory, kind of like we saw in Blackout, for instance. And with this, I'm not overly surprised because it seems likely they want to keep the mechanics consistent between Warzone 2 and their extraction style mode, which is DMZ. But at the same time, I'm a little skeptical here. I just hope it's really easy to navigate these inventories with a controller, because that's a big area where mouse and keyboard always has a big advantage over controller players, because they can just really quickly click on the items we want, whereas with a controller, you typically have to like scroll around to get to the item that you actually want. Additionally, with this leak, it looks like backpacks are returning, so you'll get different size or different tiers of backpacks that you can loot on the map, and that allows you to carry more items. There's also new contracts, and the helicopter from High Rise will be usable, and it has already been kind of teased that High Rise will be in the Warzone 2 map. We actually saw it in the reveal trailer right here. After that, there's no more toxic gas apparently, and instead it's going to be replaced with a dust storm. So that sounds kind of interesting. I'm not overly concerned about that. The main thing that I'm curious to see here though is visibility, both looking into the dust storm from the safe area. If somebody's lagging behind and they're hiding in the dust, can you see them? And then what about the other way around? If you're in the dust, how much will you be able to see? And then finally from this tweet, something that's already been confirmed in the past, but he's just sort of restating here, tires can be shot out from cars, and there's also the potential to repair cars. I should also mention that the devs have confirmed with us in that private briefing that you can shoot off doors and stuff with vehicles as well. You can actually shred vehicles, and that makes it a lot easier to shoot the people that are inside, so it looks like there's going to be a lot more counterplay to the vehicles. Now, continuing on to his next tweet, you can apparently shoot out of cars with 100% accuracy. So you can aim down sight while in a car and shoot at people that are outside of the car. And I actually did see a little bit of gameplay that showed this off from a campaign mission, again, in that behind closed doors event. I'm sure you guys will see this next week with the Call of Duty Next event. But that's pretty interesting. It's worth noting if you are the driver, though, you lose control of the vehicle while you're aiming and shooting. Obviously, your hands aren't on the wheel. After that, he mentions slide canceling won't be in the beta of the game, but apparently they have the option to turn it on or off, so they're just going to wait for feedback on that. And that's interesting. He did mention beta. This is the first I've heard of the potential for a Warzone 2 beta. I personally don't think that's going to be happening, but I guess time will tell. We'll have to wait till that Call of Duty Next event. I'm sure they'll be clearing up a lot of the questions that we have right now. Now, on top of that, referring to vehicles, cars will have limited fuel, and he says 2 minutes with a question mark, so roughly 2 minutes of drive time. However, there's automatic refuel/repair gas stations on the map, and you just have to drive near them, and apparently it will refill the fuel and repair your vehicle. So any shot tires or doors that have been removed, it should just automatically do that for you. And I actually kind of like the idea behind that. It looks like they're really fleshing out vehicle play and trying to add a lot more depth as well as counterplay in there. And so far, this is all sounding great to me. As for his next tweet, he says there are plenty of new vehicles, and the only returning one, apparently at this point, is the ATV, based on what he's seen. So with this, there's apparently a new Hummer-type SUV, likely like the ones we saw in the reveal trailer. We've got a hatchback civilian car, which is apparently weak but fast. And then there's different choppers. One of the helicopters they've mentioned, we can actually set to hover, and then we can shoot out of that, even as a solo player. That's something the devs talked about with us in that event as well. On top of that, he mentions there are 3 new contracts, but he can't quite tell what they are. They're just new. And he mentioned that Recon's bounties and Most Wanted contracts will be returning in Warzone 2. Now, finally, in his last tweet regarding these leaks, there is apparently no new news on a rebirth or small style map, which is interesting. Hopefully they do have one. I know a lot of people really gravitate toward those smaller maps. He was also told that they're already developing another map that's designed for like big battle royale. So I don't know if they're designing that for maybe next year or what their plan is with it, but that's interesting to hear. There's also a new CQ contract, but we don't really have any details on that. And then there's a modern city point of interest, aka downtown, and he mentions that it literally looks like a section of the GTA map, and it's extremely detailed and looks amazing. And there we go. That pretty much wraps it up for the leak dump that we got from Metaphor. From the sounds of things, it looks like they're really changing things up for Warzone 2. It seems like they're taking a very different approach with many of the elements of the game compared to Warzone 1. And the big trend I notice here is it kind of seems like they're taking a more grounded, realistic approach with many of the mechanics in the game, at least. It seems like it's going to be slightly less arcadey looking. It seems like the items, for instance, are going to be like on the ground like we saw in Blackout rather than floating and glowing like we see in Warzone. And at this point, I'm just really curious to see it for myself and to get my hands on it. Now, thankfully, they have confirmed that we're at least getting Warzone 2 intel next week with the Call of Duty Next event. We'll just have to wait and see if we see any gameplay of that. Make sure you guys check out that event. I know I keep repeating myself, but I will be there, I will be attending it, and I will be live streaming it on my Twitch channel. So again, that will be linked in the description down below. And this is where I want to hear from you guys. What are you guys thinking about these leaks for Warzone 2 so far? Are they generally sounding good to you? Do you like the direction it seems like they're going in for Warzone 2? Or not so much? Just let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.